AITA for not leashing my dogs on my property to accommodate someone who was trespassing on mobile. Sorry for any formatting issues. I live in a fairly remote area that attracts a lot of tourists due to a nearby popular hiking trail. My place has 4 units. 2 are Airbnb type rentals and 2 are permanent residences. Mine is one of the permanent ones. We have a lot of problems with tourists using our parking for turning around, looking up directions, or just trying to park and leave their cars while they go hike. There is a large parking area for tourists by the trailhead. Our parking area is a large, open area. This is private property and there are signs posted. I have 3 friendly dogs and the other permanent resident has 2. We very rarely leash any of them. We just let them out and supervise their running and playing. I will leash them if one of the Airbnb guests has an issue with dogs. So I go to let my dogs out this afternoon and there is someone out in our parking area, messing with his snow chains. He has a kid, around 9 to 10 years old, with him. Me, are you visiting someone here? I get no response, so I ask again. Still no response, so I start playing frisbee with one of my dogs. Tourist, T, can you please leash your dogs? We are afraid. Are you visiting someone here? E, no, I'm just stopped to take the chains off. Then, no, I'm not leashing my dogs. T, we are afraid of dogs. This is my home. My dogs are on my private property. Tourist gives me a dirty look but doesn't say anything. He finishes taking his snow chains off and is getting ready to leave. T, with a rude tone, I'm sorry I asked you to leash your dogs. We're just allergic and afraid. You are on private property and are trespassing. My dogs have a right to be here, on their property. Maybe you should have thought about that before saying something. He didn't say anything else and left a few minutes later. I posted about the incident on my Facebook and someone said I was rude for not accommodating. I think I'm in the right because it's my property and this guy had no right to be here and was trespassing. So, users of Reddit, AITA, edit to add a few things. Info, 1. The local laws are that dogs must be under control at all times, meaning leashed, tethered, fenced, or voice commands. My dogs are all trained to obey voice commands. 2. Public parking areas are available less than half a mile in either direction. 3. He was fully in my driveway with room to put at least 2 vehicles between him and the entrance. Also, I could and would have been nicer if I hadn't asked him twice if he was visiting and been ignored. It wasn't clear what he was doing when I first went out because he was standing next to his car. I didn't get really close because I am female and was concerned for my own safety. Edit 2. Once he told me he was scared of dogs, I made sure they stayed away from him and his car. Final edit. I hope I got home from work and there was a note on my door. It basically said he would have been much more comfortable if I had leashed my dogs but thanked me for at least being nice enough to keep the dogs away. So, for all the people who said I'm TA, at least know I wasn't a total R. NTA. I hate dogs. I hate people who let their dogs off leash in public. And you are completely in the right here. It's your property, full stop. Go nuts. This entitled dude can nick off. Thank you for your input. It's great to hear from someone who doesn't like dogs because it gives a very realistic view. NTA. Your property. I am nervous from your descriptions of frequent tourists and cars coming in and out. I'd worry about having my dog off leash even on my own property if there's a lot of car traffic. Maybe it's time for a fence. The tourist traffic is a lot less this time of year. During the summer, I've started blocking half the driveway with my car. It's greatly reduced people pulling in. NTA. You have signs posted. It's your property. They're trespassing. It's like going into someone's home and asking them not to have milk in their fridge because you're lactose intolerant. You can leave with your milk-free self, and they can skedaddle with their dog-fearing selves. Some people get really indignant when they're called out on their wrongdoing. Robber, hey, can you remove your security cams? It's making my crime harder to do. So NTA, you have no obligation to accommodate criminals. Lamau. Edit, holy shit, 1k upvotes, thanks y'all. There's a story on Reddit where a lady was in her kitchen and a burglar just walked in on her. She grabbed a gun and held him at gunpoint, in her kitchen, and he called the cops saying there was a crazy lady pointing a gun at him. He told the cops that wasn't how it was supposed to work. AITA for telling my eels to fuck off since they don't want to put in the effort. A year and 3 months ago my husband and I took custody of his sister's 3 kids, Josh, 8, Eliza, 7, and Cole, 6. Names are fake, but I wanted to make this easier to write out. My husband and I also have 2 kids together, Ella, 7, and Micah, 5. My eels were also spoken to about taking in their grandkids, but they did not feel like they could, and neither did the kids' paternal aunt, so my husband and I took them in. It has been rough. They were taken off their parents because the parents were not sending them to school. But outside of that they were feeding them badly, not enforcing any bedtime or any kind of structure. My Sil and her husband refused to comply with sending them to school, and after lengthy intervention from CPS they were removed from the home. So when we got the kids it had been many months since they had been to school. They had never eaten a vegetable and never had a bedtime that they could remember. And it has been hard. They still hate school and I ended up needing to drive them to school because they would run from the bus stop. They still don't want to eat anything but foods they were used to with their parents, and homework is not easy or fun. But I am determined to do what I can. So is my husband. They are in therapy twice a week, etc. My eels started complaining about their lack of progress during lockdown. They would ask how school work was going from home and how their diet was, etc. And they would blame me when they were told very little had changed. They blamed me because I'm the one who stays at home. I'm the one who is active most in the normal 9 to 5 setting. My husband is active and involved and a great parent, but we need him to work. We started ignoring my eels after they refused to listen when my husband told them to stop blaming me. He told them we would be happy for them to help, but if not they needed to be quiet. But they are not finished, and I had a bad day recently and then my mill showed up at our house unannounced to tell me I'm doing a bad job and I lost it a little. I told her to fuck off and keep her opinion to herself when she wasn't willing to step up and put the effort in to help the kids. I told her I was putting the effort in and was doing all I could and I was following the advice of the therapists, and she was being a judgmental ass. She was not happy and my husband got a long email about my behavior. I feel a little bad for snapping and at the same time I'm so frustrated. They never want to help out and yet they treat me like crap and accuse me of not doing a good enough job. It's already hard juggling everything without that on top of it all. NTA, your in-laws suck. If they won't help, they get no say. Plain and simple. NTA, it sounds like you and your husband are doing the best you can with the situation, and I applaud the two of you for stepping up and taking this all on. Yeah, it's not easy trying to juggle everything, but we want the best for the kids. The fact my eels don't think I do stung at first, and now it just pisses me off because they have no idea how invested I am in these kids' well-beings and their future. Well, now you know something about how your sister-in-law became the kind of mother who gets her kids taken away by CPS. Your mill is attacking you because she probably feels guilty for raising this person who turned out this way, and because she didn't step up herself. Normally I would say it's rude to tell your mill to FCK off, but under these circumstances, I wholly support your choice of verbiage. NTA. Edit. If you are still reading comments, I want to tell you that what you are doing is life-changing for these children. I'm a clinical psychologist. I've worked with traumatized children for over 25 years. Many of them removed from their homes like this. I don't know if people on here really understand how horrific and abusive a neglect situation has to be in order for children to be removed from their parents. It's unimaginable. Trust me when I say that. And kids are caught in a terrible bind. The need to protect abusive parents is almost genetic. Even if they are grateful and happy to be out and away from their parents, they don't want to betray them and risk losing the little bit of love they have from them. So they act out. And their grief does not look like that of adults. It looks oppositional and defiant. It looks disorganized. Can't show appreciation for their foster parents, and they also can't go home. It's awful for everyone. And foster care with strangers? Sometimes it works. Sometimes it's dangerous. They don't know how lucky they are to have you right now. They are too little. Someday they will understand and feel safe enough to love you back. Children remember the adults who were kind to them. Heart. NTA. Sounds like it's time to cut some limbs off the family tree. I'm just trying to imagine that email. I came to your house to tell your wife she's not doing things correctly, and when I kept telling her how trash she is, she got upset. Nerve. How dare she? I sure won't be providing surprise negative parenting classes anymore since you don't appreciate them. Like, what? AITA for having kicked my dill out of my Thanksgiving meal after her vegan feast fiasco. My daughter, 21, lives with us while finishing college. My son, 27, lives in the same city and I babysit his children, 3 and 4, so we are bubbled. My sister, who drove 3 hours with her husband and son, 16, to come and see us, has been taking extra precautions prior to this event. Everyone was safe. Bill and I don't get along for many reasons I won't go into. She's also just one of those condescending people who thinks that constantly looks down on others, especially because of her veganism. Last Thanksgiving, she raised hell over me making a turkey, and claimed there weren't really any vegan options. There were. Last week, Dill contacts me on FB asking for the menu, and then telling me what will and won't work. She also sent me many replication recipes to make for her, with expensive specialty items in all of them, many I didn't even know what they were. This annoyed me, because I had already made sure to give my son, her, and her kids vegan options for the day, but it wasn't good enough. I finally just told her to go pound sand, and that she could bring her own dish for her family if she'd be that picky. Thanksgiving happens. They arrive late with a ton of food dishes, parading them in, all with this vindictive grin on her face. Turns out, she, out of spite, took the exact menu, and made her own version of every single dish. Needless to say, I was livid, but I held my tongue. My sister and daughter in particular did try the food and enjoy it. Every time they complimented her, she would give me this look as she received her thanks, before tacking on something like I just wanted to make a Thanksgiving meal that everyone could enjoy. The part where I finally snapped was at dessert. We have a family tradition where right before we sit down and say what we're thankful for. It's usually for family, or being able to gather. When at her turn, she got the same smug, vindictive grin on her face, and in the most condescending way, said I'm thankful for starting the new tradition of a cruelty-free, inclusive Thanksgiving, and I hope it continues next year. Reddit, I saw red. I waited until my turn, and then said, as calmly as I could, that I was thankful that this would be the last Thanksgiving I'd be spending with her. It took them a moment to catch on, and soon enough nasty words were being exchanged on both sides. I finally kicked them out. I didn't think about it until this evening, when my son sent me a text telling me that he would not be letting his children come over until I personally apologized to his wife. He said that while he sees my side, she didn't mean it, and that I took it way too far by publicly embarrassing her, when she spent so much time making food for everyone. My husband is telling me I should just apologize, because it was rude of me and isn't worth it. He doesn't really get why it hurt me so much that she copied my meal to one-up me, and thinks the more food, the merrier. AITA here? Let me know. Edit for info, word count is limiting. I absolutely had vegan options for them to begin with. I had an entree for them, plus some backup nuggets for the kitties, a few side dishes, most were vegan with non-vegan add-ons, and a dessert that I made. She told me that those were fine, but the other entrees wouldn't work and that I needed to make them all vegan. It wasn't a request to make something in particular, it was a demand that I redo everything. My son let it slip that she spent hundreds of dollars on the food to make what she did, and he seemed to blame me for that. Another note is that although the threat of the grandchildren hurts every time, it isn't the first time. Last time she made it 2 weeks and gave in, because they rely on the free childcare 4 times a week while she's working. I did not literally tell her to go pound sand. That is an expression. I told her that was the menu, and it will not be changed, but she was welcome to bring her own dish for her family. Another Reddit. Wow, this really blew up. I have a mini update. I've spoken with my husband, and I've told him that I flat out feel unappreciated. I spent days making this meal, and for him, who watched me struggle, to blow it off as nothing was honestly hurtful. Additionally reminded him of the other issues we've had, and have informed that I'm no longer going to be taking this from her or my son. He is welcome to talk to them if he likes, but I, personally, am done. I am done being their free labor. I am done being her punching bag and power step. I am done just all around. We talked it a bit more, and he respects my choice and has apologized for his part in this. Next, I told my son that if he wants to continue to try and manipulate me with his grandchildren, then I think it's best we cut contact for a while, because I'm beyond hurt. I have explained my side to him, in tears, and it was met with an I know, but I just told him to stop. He gets free childcare. It's manipulative. He claims he isn't a part of it and it's just his wife, and I know how she is, but I'm realizing that he's actually a huge part of it for enabling. I've told him that I'm always there for his children, but that for now, I'd rather not have contact with them unless there's a dire emergency with no other options, or they both apologized, and that includes the consistent free labor. His response was that I was making it difficult, because his wife would be upset if he apologized to me. That solidified my decision, and I've cut contact. My daughter is aware of what is happening. She's taken my side on this. Please do not send me hatens about your personal opinion over me not being vegan. You will simply be reported and blocked. I will not be answering. I do not wish to have a conversation with you, especially in DMs, over veganism and whether or not it is better. Please respect that. Thank you.